Welcome to Colney Talk Podcast.
Hello and welcome, good listeners. Thank you for joining me. You are listening to Colney Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Alex. Another bite-sized podcast talking about Arsenal games. I pick out 3 top players in the game and 1 player whose level was not as quality as we would expect. If you're new here, welcome and thank you. Or if you've been listening to the show, glad to have you back again. Arsenal visits Leeds. What an ugly and uncomfortable game. This was drama unlimited, starting off with an unexpected power outage of sorts, causing a considerable delay in the game. Temporarily suspended, this was a 40-minute delay. Can you believe that? Just wow. And then after that, when we kicked right off, it was such a slow start in the game. Arsenal players were not even having good composure at the back with the flow of their passes, and our offense was just not there. We just were not in sync. We were not really present in this game. Miscues in front with passes as well were not the sharpest today at all. No one would argue that. Very uncharacteristic to lose simple passes, ball possessions. I mean, the poor play was rubbing off on many Arsenal players. It just was so weird to watch. This is not just we were trashed or we, lost to just, conceded 2 goals, in the first half or something, but just everything about the game, the way we started. Like I said, drama was all over this game. I mean, I wouldn't want to say, I just don't want to describe this kind of scenario for any game that Arsenal are involved in or Arsenal playing at all. I just would not want to do that again. We couldn't even manage the high press and the tempo of Leeds. Credit to them. They played ball. They were playing at home. They were playing a different style. They just really exposed us in so many ways. It was so disappointing to see that even when Arteta had to rally the players during Ramsdale, air quotes here, injury time to get the team back in focus and back in shape, not much changed. I mean, this was just in the first half. The gift of luck were there again with Arsenal a number of times, but we had some standout players, and I'll get to that later. But Leeds attacking created a number of line breaking on Arsenal's high line. They just exploited that with runners, running from deep to cut through our defenses so easily. I just couldn't believe it. And they played fast. They contested our passing game flow. They disrupted the way that we try to just get everything back in flow, but they were just 10 times faster than us. They were just on a 2x, and we were just on a slow day today. I mean, Leeds had Arsenal players sweating. We were so rattled. We lost composure on the ball all throughout the first and second half. We just couldn't keep the ball at all. This was really a one-way traffic. Just that's the best way to describe this game. And as I mentioned with Locke, our first and only goal was from a lucky switch pass from Rodrigo to the left to the right that Saka intercepted and scored by him as well. So that was just, and it was a very tight angle. So everything just didn't align with us as we would impose ourselves in the game. We don't have to even dominate as we usually would, because it's not really written in the stars like that in every game. But these things for this game just didn't line up. It didn't seem right. It didn't sound right. And watching it again, boy, it just felt so uncomfortable. But I'll tell you this, the biggest gift for Arsenal and Mikel Arteta was to look at all these inefficiencies, all these problems we had, the silly mistakes, the problems that just would not give us that composure back to calm things down. Even with Xhaka and Partey there to kind of get things back. They did intercept the ball in midfield, but we were overrun again. They kept rattling us. They didn't give us any breathing space. They didn't give us any room to reset, refocus, get our formation, our posture, to get the flow of game. They did not give us any of that. So this is a gift for Mikel Arteta and the players to sit down, just take this all in and fix it immediately, because the games are coming thick and fast in this October, and people have seen us bleed strategically. They have seen us, and they have seen these inefficiencies, and they want to attack it. They want to take this as a template to make us be this uncomfortable, cause these kinds of problems. But I am certain that this will be corrected and rectified immediately, and that's what I'm in some ways relieved by. We did win, yes, but this more than anything gives a good fresh set of information for the players to practice and plan, especially from a defensive standpoint, especially from a tactical position where they know how we play. Most teams know how we play and how we impose ourselves. But in this situation, we were not anywhere reminiscent of what an Arsenal players would look like. So, as I said, this is one of the best things that we got out in addition to the win. As I mentioned with the drama, like rescinding a red card and a penalty, the stars were certainly aligned from a luck standpoint. But again, these silly mistakes and these things happening in and around our box, we just have to get rid of them now this early and keep this intelligence of how we manage ourselves in difficult situations. As much as we will get rattled, because this is not going to be the first time we'll get rattled, this is not going to be the first time that we're going to be in very uncomfortable positions. We may, and I hope not to jinx this in any way, we may even be chasing a lead to get ourselves back. So this would add on to taking this in and making sure that we can learn from this, get better, and be much more improved as we take on so many other players, because they've seen this. There's tape out there now. They know how they can exploit our high line. They know how to exploit our defense. They know how to exploit our midfield in certain ways. But I'm certain Mikel Arteta will have a lot of homework to do to fix all of this and the player. In the midst of all this unusual play throughout, my standout and the other guys were first Saka. This kid is really special. I mean, he's scoring on our only goal with his right foot, by the way. I mean, his playing is getting better and better each time, and that's really good. As I keep crossing my fingers for that rest to get the other player to come in and give him some time off his feet. He's not here yet, so we just have to deal with that until the time comes. But I'm so glad that he's improving, getting real bold with the ball and moving and doing a lot of things. And players are also respecting that. So he was one of the better players today. My second of my top three, Ramsdale, with every anatomy he could possibly use to save us from losing, he did. He's my man of the match. I mean, he stood tall, one-on-ones, several times, different incredible saves. He was just radical in trying to attack and catch and save us in so many situations. What a player, what a day to save us, really, especially when all of our other players just were not in sync. We didn't look our sharpest. We didn't look like we represented how we would play, our style, our formation, our focus. There's so many reasons why, but he was the one that came out on top to really help us. My third and final guy, Big Gabby. He was bold today. I applaud him in the shift that he puts, because there are so many times that we see Gabby and he's riddled with mistakes here and there, not having the composure, not being the player that we usually admire as how composed Saliba is. But it's so funny how everything just was in reverse today. And I'm counting on the training and experience to get Gabby to another level quickly, especially in our box, with his emotions, with his temperament, with the way that he's reacting. He can put us in other precarious situations that even VAR and the ref might not even be fair. That's just the way to look at it. You can tell that he's under a lot of pressure because he doesn't want to mess up. So somehow he needs to understand that the way we show support to Saliba is the way that we will continue, and I believe Arsenal fans will continue doing that for Big Gabby. He should understand that. He should believe that. He has done so much. He has been playing several matches that even those mistakes we keep training the whole team on, which includes him. I mean, we had a scapegoat in the past where there was just so much unrest, and Xhaka can definitely relate to that. And I know we're not going to try to have any kind of scapegoatism for anybody, if that's a word, but for Big Gabby, it was not him, and it certainly shouldn't be any situation going forward. His stats in the game is very commendable. Like, he is on that level of a man of the match for today. But I know I gave it to Ramsdale, deservingly so. According to the stats, Squawka Stats, probably pronouncing the name wrong, he won 90% of his aerial duels, 4 clearances, 4 blocks, 3 tackles, and 3 interceptions. That right there are the kinds of stats that you would see Virgil van Dijk and some of these other big name center backs doing on a daily basis. So he did that in the midst of how we were playing today. So he deserves a lot of credit for that, and he played really well. Saved us in a lot of situations like this too. So it's his job. He like I said, he was on the shift today, and that was a very good performance in my opinion. Now, my other guy today was the other defender, Saliba. He caused us a penalty. He lost the ball right on the edge of the box a number of times where Ramsdale had to bail him out. He had a number of mistakes that certainly would have caused us to lose this game flat out. I mean, this is not his usual self. Then again, who in today's game was the usual self as far as the Arsenal teams go? Who? Just who? It was really hard to really pick out the rest of them. I mean, I did, but in the sense of how they all should play and represent. Every player was really rattled, and it's just a few that stood out from the rest. So he was that guy today. So folks, that's it. We snatched the win, and the better of the players were Ramsdale, Big Gabby, and I'm glad I'm saying that, and Saka. But my other guy was Saliba. We just got this win, and we move on, folks. We just move on. I mean, there's a lot to learn from, which is the gifts that I know that the players will have to sit back and absorb and learn and apply themselves in the subsequent game. So that is it for us today. Thanks for listening. I do hope you enjoyed this bite-sized podcast. These are the types of podcasts I do like to listen to as well. So share it and enjoy and subscribe. Take care and bye for now.